There's something I should have told you a long time ago. Nathan said it so quietly, I almost thought the call had glitched. I was sitting on my apartment floor with a half-eaten slice of cold pizza balanced on a paper plate, my editing timeline frozen on my laptop, and suddenly my chest felt too tight for my own living room. Nathan Reed hadn't called me in almost 2 years. Not really called. We did the normal adult friendship stuff. Birthday texts. Random memes. You alive? Every few months. Nothing that made your hand go still around your phone. Nothing that made a voice from your past walk straight back into your ribs. That's a weird opening, I said, because apparently my survival instinct was sarcasm. There was a pause on his end. A small breath. Then traffic noise, maybe rain. Yeah, I know. I looked at his name on my screen like it might explain itself. Nathan Reed. My old best friend. The guy who knew me when I had braces, bad hair, and zero ability to talk to anyone at school dances. The guy who spent most of high school in my room, stealing my hoodies, eating my mom's leftovers, falling asleep during movies, and swearing he wasn't tired. 15 years of history packed into one name lighting up my phone. I swallowed. Are you okay? I'm fine. He answered too fast. That was the first thing that bothered me. Nathan was never too fast. He was the calm one. The steady one. The guy who could sit in silence without making it awkward. I'm in Chicago, he added. My stomach did something stupid. You are? Yeah. My sister's wedding. I fly back Sunday. Oh. Real intelligent, Miles. Great work. I glanced around my apartment like I needed permission from the furniture to keep talking. My place was a mess. Hoodie on the couch. Empty coffee cups near the TV. A stack of client notes I had been ignoring for 3 days. It was a normal Friday night. It was supposed to stay normal. I was wondering if you wanted to meet up, Nathan said. Tonight. Only if you're free. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because the way he said it sounded casual, and nothing about my body felt casual. My heart had started pounding in this annoying, teenage way I thought I had outgrown. I mean, yeah, I'm just working. Still editing videos at midnight? It's 9:30. That's basically midnight for your personality. I smiled before I could stop myself. That was the problem with Nathan. Even after years of distance, he still knew exactly where the old buttons were. You're hilarious. I've been told. For a second, neither of us said anything. And somehow that silence felt more familiar than the talking. I could almost see him leaning against some hotel wall, one hand in his pocket, jaw tense like he was pretending this call wasn't a big deal. There's that diner near Westbrook, he said. The one we used to go to after games. I hadn't thought about that place in years. Which was a lie. I had thought about it last winter when it snowed so hard the whole street went quiet. And for some reason I remembered Nathan across from me in a booth, pushing fries onto my plate because I always forgot to eat when I was stressed. Miller's. My voice came out softer than I meant it to. Yeah. Another pause. If it's still there. It is. You still go? No. I stared at my laptop screen, at the paused frame of some stranger's wedding toast, and felt ridiculous for how hard that question hit. Not really. Me neither. He gave this quiet laugh, but it didn't sound happy. Obviously, I should have said no. Not because I didn't want to see him. That was exactly why I should have said no. Nathan had this way of making old things feel unfinished. And I had spent a long time convincing myself we were just one of those friendships that faded because life got busy. Different cities. Different jobs. Different people. Normal stuff. Nothing tragic. Nothing hidden. Just distance. That was what I kept telling myself. Miles. His voice dropped a little. Yeah. You don't have to. I know it's last minute. I hated how careful he sounded. Like he was already giving me an exit before I asked for one. Like maybe he expected me to take it. I stood up too fast, and my knee hit the coffee table. Ow. Damn it. Nathan went quiet. You okay? Yeah. I just attacked my furniture. This time his laugh was real. Low and familiar. It hit me in the chest like a memory I wasn't ready for. I rubbed my knee, annoyed at myself, at him, at the fact that one laugh could make 15 years feel close enough to touch. I can be there in 20, I said. The words came out before I fully approved them. Nathan didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was quieter. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, unless this is some weird setup where you sell me insurance. I'll try to control myself. I grabbed my keys from the counter, then stopped with my hand around them. Nathan. Yeah. I didn't know what I was going to ask. Why now? Why me? Why did you sound like you were about to break something open and run from it? Instead, I said, is this bad? Another silence. Longer this time. When he finally breathed out, I felt it more than heard it. No, he said. Not bad. My grip tightened around the keys. Then what is it? Outside my window, a car passed slowly through the wet street, tires hissing against the pavement. Nathan didn't dodge the question. That scared me more than if he had. It's just something I got tired of hiding. I told myself the drive to Miller's was not a big deal. 20 minutes across Chicago on wet streets, windshield wipers dragging back and forth, the heater making that dry clicking sound because my car was old enough to have opinions. Normal. Completely normal. Except my hands kept tightening on the steering wheel every time I thought about Nathan's voice. Something I got tired of hiding. That sentence sat in the passenger seat the whole way like another person. By the time I pulled into the diner lot, my stomach had already started acting like I was walking into a job interview or a funeral. Miller's looked exactly the same in the worst way. Same red sign. Same fogged windows. Same tired little bell above the door that rang when I walked in. For half a second, I was 17 again, cold from a football game I did not care about, following Nathan inside because he swore they had the best fries in the state. Then I saw him. Back booth. Dark green jacket. One arm stretched across the top of the seat, fingers tapping once against the vinyl like he was trying not to fidget. Nathan Reed was 30 now, but my brain still did something stupid with him. He looked older in small ways. Sharper jaw. Softer eyes. A little tired around the mouth. But then he looked up, and there it was. That same look. Like he had been waiting longer than he wanted to admit. Hey, I managed. He stood. Not all the way at first, like he could not decide if we were hugging people anymore. I solved it by stepping in, because apparently my body had better ideas than my brain. His arms came around me carefully. Warm. Familiar. Too familiar. The hug lasted maybe 2 seconds longer than it should have. Or maybe I imagined that because I was already overthinking everything. When we pulled back, Nathan's hand stayed briefly on my shoulder. You cut your hair. I blinked. Like 6 months ago. Looks good. And there it was. One tiny compliment, and my throat forgot its job. I slid into the booth across from him because sitting beside him felt dangerous for reasons I refused to inspect. You look the same, I said. That is rude. I mean in a good way. Still rude. He smiled, and I looked down at the menu even though I already knew what I wanted. The waitress came by, older woman with pink nails and no patience. Nathan ordered coffee, black. Then without looking at me, he added, and a chocolate malt. Extra whipped cream. My eyes lifted. Seriously? He glanced over. What? You remember that? You ordered it every time we came here. That was 15 years ago. His smile faded just a little, not gone, just quieter. Yeah, I remember. The waitress walked away, leaving that sentence between us. I tried to make it light. That is either sweet or concerning. Can be both. I laughed because I needed to. Nathan watched me across the table, and for some reason his expression softened in a way that made the noise around us drop back. Forks clinking. Coffee pouring. A kid whining near the counter. All of it moved farther away. What? I muttered. Nothing. You are doing the thing. What thing? Looking at me like I am about to fail a test. His mouth twitched. You always thought people were testing you. People were testing me. It was called high school. That got a real laugh from him. Low. Easy. The kind that used to make me feel chosen when I was too young to know why. Our drinks came, and Nathan pushed the malt toward me before I reached for it. His fingers brushed mine around the cold glass. Barely anything. Just skin against skin for half a second. Still, my pulse jumped so hard I almost hated myself. Nathan noticed. Of course he noticed. He did not say anything, which was worse. He just pulled his hand back slowly and looked into his coffee like it had personally betrayed him. So, I started, desperate for safer ground. Physical therapy. Denver. Responsible adult Nathan. Weird look for you. Says the guy who edits wedding videos in sweatpants. They are professional sweatpants. I missed that. He said it quietly, like the words slipped out before he dressed them up. I froze with my straw halfway to my mouth. Missed what? Nathan looked at me then. Really looked. No joke ready. No easy exit. You. Making normal things sound less heavy. My chest tightened. I told myself it was nostalgia. That was all. 15 years made people weird. Diner lighting made people sentimental. Old booths did that. Old friends did that. It meant nothing. But then Nathan reached across the table and wiped a tiny spot of whipped cream from the side of my glass with his thumb, like he had done it 100 times before. Like touching the edge of my space was still allowed. You still get quiet when you are nervous, he murmured. I swallowed. I am not nervous. His eyes stayed on mine a second too long. Miles. Just my name. That was all. But my heart started pounding anyway. Then his phone buzzed on the table, breaking whatever had almost happened. Nathan glanced down, jaw tightening. The screen lit up with a reminder about the wedding rehearsal tomorrow. He turned it face down. Sorry. I forced my lungs to work. Family duty? Yeah. He rubbed the back of his neck. My sister is going to kill me if I am late. Then why did you come here tonight? The question came out before I could soften it. Nathan went still. The diner kept moving around us, loud and ordinary, while his silence stretched across the table. Finally, he looked down at his coffee and said, because if I waited until after the wedding, I probably would have talked myself out of it again. You talked yourself out of what? I tried to sound normal when I asked it. I even picked up a fry like my hand was not suddenly useless. Nathan looked at me across the booth, and for a second I thought he might finally say it. Whatever it was. The thing hiding under every pause. But then the bell above the diner door rang, and two women walked in laughing too loudly, shaking rain off their coats. Nathan blinked first. The moment snapped. You remember senior year? He murmured, like he had decided to come at it sideways. I let out a nervous laugh. Unfortunately, yes. The homecoming game. My smile faded a little. That was specific. The one where you ditched the party after? I did not ditch. I escaped. You walked 3 miles in dress shoes. That is called commitment. Nathan's mouth curved, but his eyes stayed serious. I found you behind the Walgreens. I remembered that too well. I had been sitting on the curb behind the store in my stupid borrowed blazer, trying not to cry because everyone at the party kept pairing off, and I had felt wrong in a way I could not explain to anyone. Then Nathan had shown up with 2 gas station coffees and my hoodie in his backpack because I had forgotten it. At the time, I told myself that was just Nathan being Nathan. He remembered everything. He noticed everything. That was friendship. You were mad at me, I said. Because you scared me. I was fine. His eyebrows lifted. Miles. There it was again. My name in that tone. Soft, but not soft enough to hide what it meant. He reached across the table and turned my coffee cup slightly, lining the handle toward me because I had been awkwardly reaching around it. Such a small thing. Almost stupid. But my chest tightened. You always did that, I muttered. Did what? Fixed little things before I even noticed they were wrong. Nathan looked down at his hand still near my cup. Then he slowly pulled it back. I guess I like taking care of you. That should have been harmless. Friends said stuff like that. Old friends especially. But the way he said it made the booth feel smaller. My face warmed. So I went for a joke because apparently I had learned nothing. Careful. That sounds dangerously husband-coded. Nathan did not laugh. Not even a little. He just looked at me. And that silence hit harder than any confession could have. My stomach dropped. Nathan. I know. His jaw flexed once. Sorry. No. I stopped because I had no idea what came after that. The waitress returned with the check and glanced between us. Her expression changed in that older woman way, like she had seen 3 divorces, 6 proposals, and every kind of awkward date in between. Separate checks? She asked. Nathan opened his mouth, but I panicked. Together, I blurted. The waitress smiled like I had just confirmed something. Nathan went very still. I added quickly, not together. Just 1 check. It is fine. I owe him for 15 years of stolen fries. Sure, honey. The waitress tore off the receipt and set it down. Whatever you need to call it. Then she walked away like she had not just ruined my entire blood pressure. Nathan looked at the table. I looked at the window. Outside, rain slid down the glass in uneven lines. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. That was not what I meant, I said. I know. But his voice had changed. Lower. Careful. I hated how much I noticed. His phone buzzed again, this time with a text preview bright enough for me to accidentally see. His sister. Rehearsal breakfast at 9. Do not disappear with your mystery guy. My throat went dry. Nathan grabbed the phone and turned it over fast, but not fast enough. Mystery guy? I repeated. He closed his eyes for half a second. She is annoying. Does your family think you are on a date? No, too quick again. I leaned back, trying to laugh it off, but it came out thin. Great. Because that would be insane. Nathan's eyes lifted to mine. Would it? The diner got quiet. Or maybe I did. I stared at him, waiting for the smile, the joke, the safety net. Nothing came. Just Nathan, sitting across from me with 15 years of history in his face, asking me a question I suddenly could not answer. Back then, he continued, barely above the noise of the rain. When people joked about us like that, did it ever bother you? My first instinct was to say yes. Of course it bothered me. Two guys could not breathe near each other in high school without somebody making it weird. But that was not the whole truth. The truth was worse. Sometimes I liked it. Sometimes I waited for it. Sometimes I went home and replayed it like an idiot because for 3 seconds, someone else had said what I was too scared to think. My fingers tightened around my napkin. I do not know. Nathan nodded slowly, like that answer hurt, but did not surprise him. Then he reached for the check. I reached at the same time. Our hands landed on it together. His fingers covered mine. Warm. Still. Neither of us moved. The waitress shouted an order behind the counter. Someone laughed near the door. Life kept going, completely rude about it. Nathan looked down at our hands, then back at me. That joke, he said quietly. About us getting married if we were still single at 30. I forgot how to breathe. What about it? His thumb shifted once against the side of my hand. Not enough to call it holding. Too much to call it nothing. I do not think I was ever joking. You do not think you were joking. I repeated it because my brain needed the words outside of me. Nathan's fingers were still over mine on top of the check. Not holding. Not exactly. But he was not moving, and neither was I. The smart thing would have been to pull back. Laugh. Say something dumb like, wow, diner fries really make people emotional. I had a whole toolbox of bad jokes built for moments like this. But for once, none of them came out. Nathan looked at me like he had already stepped off the edge and was just waiting to see if I would even look down. I tried to be, he said. Funny thing to try. Yeah. His thumb moved again, barely there. I was not great at it. My chest tightened so hard I had to look away. Outside the diner, the rain had slowed to a mist, turning the parking lot shiny under the streetlights. Inside, everything smelled like coffee and old fryer oil. Normal things. Safe things. But nothing about the booth felt safe anymore. Nathan. My voice came out too low. You cannot just say something like that and then stare at me. His mouth twitched, but it was not a smile. Where am I supposed to look? That should not have hit me the way it did. I finally pulled my hand back, but only because I needed to breathe. The second I did, I missed the warmth, which made me want to walk directly into traffic. Nathan sat back too, giving me space like he always did. That almost made it worse. He knew when to push. He knew when not to. He had always known too much. I grabbed the check before he could. I am paying. Miles. No. You dropped a 15-year emotional grenade in a diner. The least I can do is cover coffee. He huffed out a quiet laugh, and some of the pressure cracked, just enough for me to stand. At the register, the waitress gave me that same knowing look. You boys figure it out? Figure what out? I handed her my card too fast. She chewed her gum, unimpressed. Sure. Nathan came up beside me, close enough that his sleeve brushed mine. Not on purpose. Probably. My body noticed anyway. She is going to write fan fiction about us, I muttered. Pretty sure she already has. I glanced at him and made the mistake of finding him already looking at me. The smile faded from both of us at the same time. For 1 second, we were not two old friends joking at a cash register. We were something else. Something unnamed and way too close. The receipt printer screeched and saved my life. Outside, the air was cold enough to make me shove my hands into my jacket pockets. Nathan walked beside me toward the parking lot, our shoulders almost touching. The diner sign buzzed behind us. A car passed on the street, spraying water near the curb. Where are you parked? I nodded toward my car. Over there. Of course you still drive that thing. She is reliable. She sounds like a lawnmower with trauma. You have always been jealous of her. Deeply. We stopped near my driver's side door, and then the joking ran out again. Nathan had his hands in his jacket pockets. His hair was damp from the mist. There was a tiny crease between his eyebrows, like he was trying to decide whether to regret everything. I hated that. I hated the thought of him taking it back. Why did you never tell me? I asked. The question came out softer than I planned. Nathan looked down at the pavement. At 15? Because I was terrified. And after? Because you were my best friend. He swallowed, then looked up, and losing that sounded worse than keeping quiet. My throat went tight. I wanted to say I understood. I wanted to say I was sorry. I wanted to say there were moments back then when I felt something too, something strange and warm and impossible to name, but I had buried it so fast it barely had time to breathe. Instead, I just stood there like an idiot. Nathan nodded once, like my silence answered enough. I should go. He stepped back. Not far. Just enough for the air between us to feel colder. Rehearsal breakfast, remember? Right. I reached for my car handle, then stopped. Nathan. He turned back. Yeah. This was the moment. I could feel it. Something in me leaned forward before my brain approved it. Not a kiss. Not yet. Just a step closer. The kind of step that asked a question without words. Nathan noticed. His eyes dropped for half a second, then came back to mine. His breath changed. Mine did too. Neither of us moved after that. The whole parking lot seemed to hold still around us. I could have said it. Maybe not all of it, because I did not even know what all of it was. But I could have said something true. Something better than a joke. Something that did not leave him standing there alone with all the honesty. My phone started ringing in my pocket. Loud. Stupid. Violent. I flinched like I had been caught doing something wrong. Nathan stepped back immediately, the moment closing so fast it almost hurt. I pulled out my phone. My younger sister's name flashed across the screen. Sorry, I breathed. It is Emma. Nathan's face smoothed into something careful. Too careful. You should get that. I can call her back. Miles. He gave me a small smile that did not reach his eyes. It is okay. But it was not. I knew it as soon as he said it. I silenced the call, shoved the phone back into my pocket, and looked up. Nathan was already moving toward his car. Hey, I called. He paused. What were you hiding? He did not turn around right away. When he finally did, his expression was quiet in a way that made my stomach drop. Not what, he said. Who? Then he got in his car and left me standing there under the broken diner sign, finally understanding that the answer had probably been me. By the time I got home, I had listened to Nathan's last sentence in my head so many times it barely sounded like English anymore. Not what. Who? I parked outside my building and just sat there with both hands on the wheel, staring at the brick wall across the street like it might give me instructions. My phone buzzed again. Emma. Then again. Emma never called twice unless she needed something, or unless she knew I was avoiding something. I answered on the third ring. Are you dead? Emotionally, maybe. Gross. Are you busy tomorrow? I leaned my head back against the seat. Hello to you too. Hi. Love you. Mom wants to know if you are coming by Sunday for dinner. Probably. Probably means no. I closed my eyes. Emma. There was a pause. Too sharp. Too interested. What is wrong with your voice? Nothing. You sound weird. I always sound weird. No. You sound like you just saw a ghost. I almost laughed because that was not far off. Nathan was not a ghost, obviously. But seeing him again had made parts of me feel haunted. I saw Nathan tonight. Silence. Then a very slow, Nathan Reed. I already regretted speaking. How many Nathans do we know? Oh my God. Do not do that. I am not doing anything. I could hear the smile in her voice. The Nathan Reed? High school Nathan? Slept on our couch every weekend Nathan? Mom thought you two were secretly dating Nathan. My stomach dropped so fast I sat up. Mom did not think that. Miles. She did not. She once asked me if she should make the basement room nicer in case Nathan moved in after graduation. Heat climbed up my neck even though I was alone in my car. That means nothing. Moms are weird. Sure. Emma dragged the word out in that brutal little sister way. So why did you see him? I looked through the windshield at the wet streetlights. He is in town for his sister's wedding. And he called you? Yeah. After years? Yeah. Another pause. Softer this time. Is he okay? That was the thing about Emma. She could be annoying enough to make you consider changing your number, then suddenly hit the exact place you were trying to hide. I do not know, I admitted. He told me something. What? My mouth opened. Nothing came out. Because saying it to Emma would make it real. Saying Nathan had feelings for me. Maybe had loved me. Maybe had spent 15 years hiding me inside a sentence he never got to finish. Felt too private. Like I would be handing her something I had not even figured out how to hold yet. Miles. He said people used to joke about us. I muttered. And that he was not really joking. Emma did not gasp. Did not laugh. She just went quiet. Somehow that was worse. Oh. I frowned. Oh. Yeah. Oh. What does that mean? It means I am trying really hard not to say I knew it. My chest tightened. You did not know anything. Okay. Emma. I was 14, not blind. I rubbed my hand over my face. This is not helping. Fine. Do you want helpful or honest? Neither, actually. Too bad. Helpful. Do not make a joke if he says something serious. You do that when you are scared. I went still. My silence gave me away immediately. Emma exhaled. You already made a joke, did you not? I hated sisters. I hated them so much. Maybe. Miles. It was one joke. Was it before or after he looked emotionally destroyed? I closed my eyes again. Nathan at the diner. Nathan in the parking lot. Nathan stepping back when my phone rang like he was used to making himself smaller around me. After, I whispered. Emma softened. I could hear it. You liked him too, did you not? The question was too clean. Too direct. No room to hide. I looked down at my hand, remembering Nathan's fingers over mine on the check. His thumb against my skin. The way I had not moved. He was my best friend. That is not an answer. It was complicated. That is also not an answer. I swallowed hard. Across the street, a couple hurried under one umbrella, laughing as they bumped into each other. Something about it made my chest ache. I do not know what it was. Emma was quiet for a second. Then, gently, maybe you should figure it out before he leaves again. Before he leaves again. The words landed badly. Too badly. He has a wedding tomorrow. I said, like that solved anything. Then go. I was not invited. You literally said he asked you to meet him. Did he mention the wedding? I thought of his phone lighting up. His sister's text. Do not disappear with your mystery guy. Sort of. Emma hummed. That man told his family about you. No, he did not. Miles. Do not Miles me. He did. Maybe not everything. But enough. My throat went dry. Enough. That word followed me upstairs. It followed me while I dropped my keys on the counter, while I ignored the cold pizza still sitting on the floor, while I stood in my living room with my jacket still on. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Not Emma this time. Nathan. For one stupid second, I just stared at his name. Then I opened the message. Made it back to the hotel. Sorry if tonight was too much. I typed 3 different answers and deleted all of them. Then another message appeared. My sister says I should invite the mystery guy to the rehearsal lunch tomorrow. I stopped breathing. A second later, one more. You do not have to come. I just wanted to ask before I talk myself out of it. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I told myself it was only lunch. Only a family thing. Only Nathan being polite. But my heart was pounding like it knew better. Because the outside world had finally started noticing what I had spent 15 years pretending not to see. And this time, Nathan was giving me a chance to show up. I did not sleep much after Nathan's message. I answered with one word because anything longer felt like stepping into traffic. Okay. Then I spent the next morning regretting it, changing shirts twice, and telling myself rehearsal lunch was not a date. It was just lunch. With his family. After he confessed something that made my entire teenage memory bank feel like evidence. Totally normal. The restaurant was one of those bright downtown places with white tile, loud espresso machines, and servers who looked like they judged your shoes. Nathan stood near the entrance when I walked in, one hand in his pocket, the other holding his phone like he had checked it too many times. The second he saw me, his shoulders dropped. Not a lot. Just enough. Like he had been holding his breath and hated that I noticed. You came. I tried to smile. You invited me. Yeah, but you have a history of running from emotionally inconvenient situations. That is a serious accusation before noon. His mouth curved, but his eyes stayed on me. Is it wrong? I looked away first. Not entirely. Before he could answer, a woman in a cream sweater appeared beside him and slapped his arm. So this is Miles. Nathan closed his eyes for half a second. Maya. What? I am being normal. She was not being normal. She looked at me like she had been handed the final clue in a mystery she had been solving since high school. Hi. I am Nathan's sister. The bride. The reason everyone is exhausted. Congratulations, I managed. Thank you. You are cuter than he described. Nathan made a sound like he was choking. Maya. My face went hot. He described me? Not in a weird way. She smiled too sweetly. Just in a Nathan way. There is no Nathan way, he muttered. There absolutely is. She touched his shoulder, softer now. Come on. Mom is already asking questions. Nathan glanced at me, worried suddenly. You okay? That should not have gotten to me. Not after everything. But it did. He was the one who had confessed. He was the one standing in front of his family with me, the mystery guy, and somehow he was still checking whether I felt trapped. Yeah, I said. I am okay. Lunch was loud. Cousins, aunts, Maya's friends, people hugging over chairs and passing plates across the table. Nathan sat beside me because Maya announced there was obviously no other reasonable seating arrangement, then winked like she had committed a public service. I nearly died. Nathan leaned closer, voice low. I am sorry. For your sister? For all of them. They are fine. You are lying. Professionally. His knee brushed mine under the table. An accident. Probably. But he did not move right away. Neither did I. The conversation moved around us, normal family chaos, but my entire focus narrowed to that one point of contact. His knee against mine. Warm, through denim. Stupid. Small. Too much. Maya, sitting across from us, noticed. Of course she did. Her eyebrows lifted for half a second. Then she looked down at her mimosa with the face of someone pretending not to win a bet. I shifted slightly, panicking, and Nathan pulled back at the same time. The loss felt louder than the touch. Halfway through lunch, a guy slid into the empty chair on Nathan's other side. Dark hair, easy smile, confident in a way that made me immediately dislike him before I had any right to. Reed, he said, clapping Nathan's shoulder. You disappeared last night. Nathan's smile turned polite. Caleb, and this must be Miles. Caleb looked at me like he already knew more than he should. I have heard a lot. I forced a smile. That seems to be going around. Only the important stuff. Caleb leaned back, eyes flicking between us. High school best friend, right? Nathan's hand tightened around his water glass. Yeah, the one. Caleb added, quieter, but not quiet enough. My stomach dropped. Nathan's jaw moved like he was deciding whether to kick him under the table. Caleb, what? I am being supportive. Be supportive somewhere else. Caleb laughed, but his expression softened before he stood. Good to meet you, Miles. Then, just before leaving, he leaned toward me and said, for what it is worth, he never talked about anyone the way he talked about you. The table noise rushed back after he walked away, but I barely heard it. Nathan stared straight ahead, ears slightly red. That was new. Nathan Reed, actually flustered. Who is Caleb? I asked, trying way too hard to sound casual. College friend. He seems informed. Nathan exhaled through his nose. He knew some things. About me? His eyes finally met mine. About how I felt. The answer hit harder than expected. Not because it was dramatic. Because it was plain. Real. People knew. Nathan had carried this outside the two of us. He had made me a truth in rooms I had never entered. My chest tightened. And now? I did not mean to ask it, but the words were already there. Nathan went still. Now what? My throat felt dry. How you feel now? He looked at me for a long second. No joke. No escape. Under the table, his hand rested beside mine on the bench between us, close enough that his pinky almost touched my knuckle. I tried to make it past tense, he said. I really did. My heart started pounding. Did it work? Nathan looked down at our hands. His fingers shifted, just barely brushing mine. Not grabbing. Not pushing. Just asking. No, one word. Quiet enough that only I could hear it. Then he added, and last night, when you almost said something in the parking lot, I did not want you to stop. I forgot the entire restaurant. The noise, the people, the clatter of plates. Gone. All I could feel was his fingers still barely against mine, and the terrifying truth that this was not just a confession from the past anymore. It was happening now, right beside me, in public, in daylight, and Nathan looked just as scared as I felt. For about 3 seconds after Nathan said it, I forgot we were surrounded by his family. I forgot Maya was 2 seats away pretending not to watch us. I forgot Caleb existed. I forgot the restaurant had windows and servers, and normal people eating eggs like my entire chest had not just cracked open at brunch. Nathan's finger was still against mine under the table. Barely touching. Barely anything. But my whole body was acting like it mattered. Then Maya stood up and clinked her glass with a fork. Okay, everyone, before my fiancé starts crying into his pancakes, I just want to say thank you for being here. Everyone turned toward her. Nathan pulled his hand back. Fast. Too fast. Like he had been burned. I looked at him, but his eyes stayed on his water glass. My stomach dropped. There it was. The part where reality came back. Families. Weddings. Public tables. Labels nobody had said out loud. I told myself not to overthink it. That was impossible, obviously. I had built a whole personality around overthinking. Maya kept talking, laughing about seating charts and last-minute disasters. People cheered. Nathan smiled when he was supposed to, but he did not look at me again. Not once. The space between our knees felt huge now, even though we were still sitting close enough for our sleeves to brush. I hated how quickly my brain turned cruel. He regrets saying it. He got caught up in the diner lighting and the rain and old memories. He remembered why he hid it. He remembered I am not worth making his life complicated. By the time lunch ended, I had convinced myself of at least 6 different terrible things. Nathan walked with me toward the sidewalk outside while his family gathered behind us, loud and happy and busy with wedding plans. It was cold, bright, the kind of Chicago afternoon that made everything look cleaner than it felt. "Thanks for coming," he said, hands in his jacket pockets. "Polite. Careful. Awful." I nodded. "Yeah, it was nice. You survived, Maya." "Barely." He smiled a little, then looked over his shoulder toward the restaurant. His mom was waving him back for something. "I should probably, yeah. Of course." I stepped back before he could finish. That was easier. Give him the exit first. Pretend I did not care if he took it. Nathan's eyes flicked to my face. "Miles." I could not do that tone right then. Soft. Worried. Like he could see me shutting down in real time. "It is fine," I cut in. "Seriously. You have wedding stuff." His jaw tightened. "That is not what I was going to say." "Then what were you going to say?" It came out sharper than I meant. His expression changed. Not hurt exactly. More like he understood too much. "I was going to ask if you wanted to talk later." I laughed once, and it sounded wrong even to me. "Talk later." Right. What does that mean? Nothing. "Miles. Do not do that." His eyebrows pulled together. "Do what?" "Say my name like you already know what I am thinking." Nathan stared at me. The noise from the restaurant spilled out behind him every time the door opened. Plates, laughter, his sister calling someone's name. It made the silence between us feel even worse. "I pulled my hand back because my aunt was staring at us," he said quietly. My face went hot. "I did not ask." "No. You just immediately decided I regretted everything." I looked away. That was unfair. It was also correct, which made it worse. "Can you blame me?" I muttered. Nathan's shoulders dropped. No. That answer hurt more than if he had argued. He stepped closer, not enough to corner me, just enough that his voice could stay low. "I have spent years being careful, Miles. Around my family. Around you. Around myself. I do not know how to just stop doing that in one morning." My anger faded so fast it left embarrassment behind. "I know. I am not ashamed of you." My chest tightened. "I did not say that." "You thought it." I swallowed. Cars moved past us on the street. Someone laughed behind the glass. Nathan looked tired suddenly, not from the wedding, not from his family, but from holding too many things at once. "I am scared," he admitted. "That is different." I finally looked at him. "Scared of what?" His mouth opened, then closed. He rubbed a hand over the back of his neck. "Of making this real for 2 days, and then flying back to Denver with nothing but another version of missing you." That landed right in the center of me. Because I had been so busy protecting myself from rejection that I had not thought about what this looked like from his side. 15 years of hiding. 1 weekend in Chicago. Me, still flinching every time something honest got too close. Nathan, his phone buzzed in his hand. He checked it, then sighed. "Maya needs me." Of course she did. Of course the world had perfect timing. He looked back at me, and for a second I thought he might touch me. He did not. He just gave me that small, careful smile again. "Forget it. We can talk later." "Do not say forget it." My voice came out too quick. He paused. "Why?" "Because I do not want to forget it. Because I think I felt something when you touched my hand. Because maybe I have been scared longer than I knew." None of that came out. What came out was worse. Smaller. Safer. Because that is what people say when they want to leave. Nathan's eyes softened, and that almost broke me. "I do not want to leave." I nodded, but I still stepped back. I still made it easier for him. "Go help your sister." He waited one more second, like he was giving me a chance to stop him properly. I did not. So he went back inside, and I stood on the sidewalk alone, watching him disappear into a room full of people who knew where they belonged, while I realized the scariest part was not that Nathan still wanted me. It was that I might want him enough to ruin the safest friendship I had ever had. That night, I made it all the way to my apartment door before I realized I did not want to go inside. My keys were in my hand. My jacket was half unzipped. My phone was sitting silent in my pocket, which somehow made it worse. Nathan had not texted. I had not texted. 2 grown men with 15 years of history, both apparently waiting for the other one to be brave. I stood there in the hallway under the ugly yellow light and hated myself for how familiar that felt. Then my phone buzzed. Nathan, are you home? My thumb hovered over the screen. Almost. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then, can I come by? My heart started pounding before I even typed back. Yeah. 20 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just 2 careful taps. I opened it, and Nathan stood there in a dark sweater, hair slightly messy, looking like he had walked over from the hotel, even though I knew that was ridiculous. His hands were in his pockets. His eyes searched my face before he said anything. I did not want to talk later. I stepped back to let him in. Apparently, neither did I. He walked into my apartment slowly, like he was trying not to disturb anything, even though the place already looked like a laundry basket had exploded. His gaze landed on the pizza box still on the floor. You live like a divorced raccoon. Do not come into my home and judge my ecosystem. He almost smiled. Almost. Then it faded. The room went quiet. Too quiet. I closed the door behind him, and suddenly my apartment felt smaller than it had any right to. Nathan stood near the couch. I stayed by the kitchen counter. 6 feet between us. Maybe less. It felt like a mile. I am tired of doing this, he said. No warm-up. No joke. My stomach tightened. Doing what? His eyes lifted to mine. Pretending we can keep having almost conversations and call it normal. I looked down at my hands. I am not trying to mess with you. I know. I stopped. The words were there, but they were ugly and scared and not arranged properly. Nathan waited. He always waited. That was part of the problem. He gave me room to run and then looked hurt when I used it. I do not know what this is, I finally said. That is honest. It is also useless. No, it is not. He took 1 step closer. Not much. Enough for me to notice. Useless would be pretending you felt nothing. My throat went dry. I never said I felt nothing. Nathan froze. The words hung there. Mine. Finally. His face changed so subtly I almost missed it. The carefulness cracked. Okay. His voice was quiet. Then what did you feel? I let out a breath that was almost a laugh. Panic. Mostly. That got the smallest smile from him. Fair. And when Caleb touched your shoulder, I wanted to hate him for no reason. His eyebrows lifted. You were jealous? Do not look that pleased. I am trying very hard not to. I rubbed both hands over my face. See that? That is what scares me. I do not get jealous over friends, Nathan. His smile disappeared. He stepped closer again, slower this time. No, you do not. And I keep thinking about high school. About all those stupid jokes. People saying we acted married. You stealing my hoodies. Me getting mad when you started dating girls. Even though I told myself I just missed hanging out. My voice got rough near the end, and I hated that he heard it. Nathan's hands came out of his pockets, but he did not touch me. He just let them hang at his sides, like he was forcing himself to stay still. Why did you never say anything? I whispered. His jaw tightened. Because you laughed every time someone got close to the truth. That one hurt. Mostly because it was true. I leaned back against the counter. I was scared. So was I. Yeah, but you knew what you were scared of. Nathan shook his head. No, Miles. I knew I loved being near you. I knew I hated watching you look at other people. I knew I kept every dumb note you passed me in math because they felt important. But I did not know what to do with any of that. Not at 15. My chest tightened. And now. He looked at me for a long second. Now I am standing in your apartment asking you to stop pretending this is only about the past. The air left my lungs. There it was. The door open. No diner. No wedding. No sister interrupting. Just us. I pushed off the counter, and Nathan did not move away. We were close now. Close enough that I could see the faint tiredness under his eyes. Close enough that his breath shifted when mine did. I do not want to lose you, I said. It came out small. Nathan's expression softened. You think I do? If we try this and it goes bad, then it goes bad. That is not comforting. I know. His mouth twitched, but his eyes stayed serious. But pretending is already going bad. That hit harder than I expected. Because he was right. We had been calling distance safety, calling silence friendship, calling fear maturity, and it had still hurt both of us. I looked down. His hand was inches from mine. This time, I moved first. Not a grab, just my fingers brushing his. A question. Nathan looked at our hands, then back at me. Miles, do not say my name like that unless you mean to make this worse. His eyes held mine. I do mean to. My heart kicked once hard. He turned his hand slowly, palm open, letting me choose. So I did. I slid my fingers into his. The room went completely still. No music. No rain. No audience. Just Nathan's hand around mine, warm and careful, like something we had both been reaching for since we were kids and had only now stopped lying about it. He did not pull me closer. He did not rush. He just held on. "Does this feel weird?" he whispered. I looked at our hands, then at him. "Yeah." His face fell for half a second until I squeezed his hand. But not wrong. For a while, neither of us said anything. Nathan's hand stayed in mine, warm and real, his thumb resting against the side of my finger like he was afraid one wrong move would scare me off. Maybe a day earlier, it would have. Maybe even an hour earlier. But standing there in my messy apartment with cold pizza on the floor and 15 years between us, I realized I was more tired of running than I was scared of staying. "Not wrong," Nathan repeated quietly, like he needed to test the words. I nodded. "Not wrong." His shoulders loosened, and the smallest laugh left him. Not happy exactly. Relieved. Like he had been carrying a box up too many flights of stairs and finally found somewhere to set it down. I looked at our hands again. I am still probably going to be bad at this. At what? Whatever this is. Good. His mouth curved. I am also bad at it. You hid it for 15 years. That is actually impressive commitment. Do not compliment my emotional damage. I laughed, and this time it did not feel like a dodge. It felt like air coming back into the room. Nathan smiled too, and the whole apartment changed around it. Same couch. Same laptop. Same pile of laundry I should have moved before letting another human inside. But everything felt slightly shifted, like someone had moved the furniture in my life 2 inches to the left. "I should tell you something," I said. Nathan's smile faded just enough to make room. "Okay." I squeezed his hand once, because if I did not anchor myself, I would joke again. "When you left for Denver, I told everyone I was fine because people grow apart." That was the normal adult explanation. His eyes stayed on mine. And I hated it. The words came out plain. Smaller than the feeling, but true. I missed you in ways I did not know how to explain without sounding ridiculous. So I just called it friendship. Nathan's face changed. Barely. But I saw it. The hurt. The relief. The years of almost knowing and never being sure. "Miles, I do not know if I was in love with you back then." My voice shook a little, but I kept going. Maybe I was. Maybe I was too scared to name it. But I know that when you said you wanted to leave tomorrow and not make this harder, everything in me wanted to stop you. His grip tightened around mine. "Then stop me." So simple. So Nathan. No speech. No dramatic music. Just a choice sitting between us like a set of keys on the counter. I looked at him. "Stay tomorrow night after the wedding." He blinked, surprised. "My flight is Sunday morning." "Change it." That easy. Probably expensive. That made him laugh under his breath. "You are asking me to change a flight?" "I am asking you to not disappear before we figure out what happens when we stop being idiots." Nathan stared at me for a long second. Then his smile came back, softer than before. "I can do that." The next afternoon, I went to the wedding. Not as a boyfriend. Not officially. Not with some grand announcement that made everyone clap and ruin the moment. I just showed up. Nathan saw me from across the small garden venue, standing near the aisle in his gray suit, looking unfairly good and a little nervous. Maya spotted me too. She grinned like she had personally arranged the universe. I ignored her because I had survival instincts. After the ceremony, when everyone moved toward the reception hall, Nathan found me near the edge of the patio. "You came back. You keep sounding surprised." "I am working on it." He stood beside me, shoulder brushing mine. People walked past us with champagne glasses and tiny plates of food. His family was everywhere. Caleb lifted his drink from across the room with an annoying smile. Maya whispered something to her new husband, and both of them looked over like they were terrible at subtlety. Nathan noticed. I felt him tense. Just a little. Old habit. Old fear. I understood it now. So before he could step away, before either of us could pretend for everyone else's comfort, I reached down and took his hand. Not under a table. Not hidden beside a check. Right there, in the open, with his sister's wedding music playing behind us, and half his family close enough to see. Nathan looked at our hands first, then at me. His eyes asked the question his mouth did not. "Are you sure?" I was not completely sure about anything. Not Denver. Not Chicago. Not what we would call this next week or next month. But I was sure I did not want to pull away. So I did not. "Still weird," he murmured. I smiled, heart pounding, hand steady in his. Yeah. He laughed softly. Still not wrong. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time in 15 years, I let myself stop translating the feeling into something safer. Not even close. Nathan's fingers slid more firmly between mine. Across the patio, Maya started crying immediately and tried to pretend it was because of the wedding. Caleb gave us a thumbs up, which made Nathan groan. I laughed, and Nathan laughed too, and somehow that sound felt like getting something back I had not known I lost. Later, we ended up at Miller's again, still in wedding clothes, sitting on the same side of the booth this time. The waitress looked at us, looked at our joined hands on the table, and smiled like she had known the ending before we did. Nathan ordered coffee. I ordered the chocolate malt. Extra whipped cream. He remembered. Of course he did. For 15 years, I thought Nathan had been hiding the truth from me. But sitting there beside him, his shoulder warm against mine, I finally understood. He had not been the only one hiding. I had been hiding from it too. And maybe love did not always arrive like a lightning strike. Sometimes it sat across from you in a diner for half your life, stealing your fries, remembering your order, waiting patiently for you to stop calling it anything else.